Sound Speeds. Welcome back to the Sound Speeds podcast. I'm a member of the Geeks Rising podcast community. Let's waste no more time and get right into our content. In my video, Charging Paid Customers to Unlock Sound Features, I was asked a question in the comments, via Facebook, and even via email about companies like Sound Devices that offer things like the 8 series recorder and the Mix Pre that are fully functioning units, but they offer additional firmware options that you can buy for things like auto mix or noise reduction. What are my thoughts on that? Well, here is exactly my thoughts on that. If you have a product that is fully featured, fully, the way you offered it to the world, and all the features are fully intact, like with both the 8 series and the Mix Pre series, and then you decide you're going to add additional options that people can choose to buy or license, like, for example, noise reduction. I'm totally on board with that if you want to charge to unlock that feature, because it was not part of your original sale. Now, you may say, well, what if you are offering a product that's only 4 channels, but then you offer additional options to unlock 8 or 12 channels? Well, here's the thing. If the hardware on the unit is fully featured already, it already has a maximum amount of ports, and if it has like 8 inputs that are via hardware and you can already access all of those, fine. If you want to unlock additional features that you can offer, like for example, when the 788 originally came out, it did not have all the different X1, X2. There was additional 4 tracks that was later offered via firmware update. Originally, it just kind of ISO recorded things. But after a while, they created a firmware that they released for free, I might add, that allowed people to have additional channels for routing purposes. And that was really cool. Now, the Mix Pre series did the same thing. The Mix Pre Series 1. And with the Mix Pre Series 2, they even offered an additional option where you could do noise reduction and you could even do auto mix. But here's the problem that I run into. When they say, okay, you have to buy this firmware for one particular channel, you can only do noise reduction on one channel. To me, if I license something, if I buy something, I should be able to move it from mixed channel left to ISO channel 3 if I want to. I should be allowed to do that. But no, they say if you want to unlock it, you have to buy that license for every single channel. I have a problem with that because it's back to the same thing of I license something, I buy something, I want to use it the way I want to use it. This goes back to like what I was talking about licensing movies, digital content online. If I buy something, I want to be able to watch it whenever I want to. It doesn't matter if I'm at home. It doesn't matter if I am on the road or whatever. If I have my phone, I want to be able to access it. I don't want to have to jump through certain bells and whistles and say, no, you only licensed it for your home use. But now you're on your cell phone. You can't access it via your phone because that's a different service. No, don't tell me what I can and can't do with something I buy. If I buy something, I should be allowed to do with it whatever I want to, which is one reason why I don't like buying digital content. I like buying the physical media because I don't want a company to say, well, guess what? Your license is only good for, and then they decide to tell you something. That to me is just a no-brainer. Don't do that. I would prefer to buy a product and then, in the case of DVDs or Blu-rays, I would prefer to actually rip it. And even then, you're allowed to archive it and back it up yourself as long as you don't do anything with it. But here's the thing about digital content. I'm going to go on a little tangent here. What if I rent something and watch it and then later decide to buy it? Well, I've rented it and then bought it. No problem. Same thing as in a store, right? But what about if I were to buy it and then say, I'm going to loan it to my friend? You can't do that with digital media. Maybe one time you're allowed to. But with physical media, I just say, here, go ahead. Borrow it as long as you like to. Watch it as long as you like to. Enjoy it. Watch all the features. I could loan off my Lord of the Rings extended edition box set and let people, spend forever watching the hours and hours and hours of additional content if they want to, and then get it back at some point. Now, you may say, but with digital, if they don't ever give it back to you, you can always, remove the license and bring it back over to you. Yes, the same thing as you can also decide that you're going to buy yourself another copy of it. That's the disadvantage of physical media. If anybody, it doesn't matter if I loan my car and they don't give my car back, guess what? It's still theft. I mean, we can nitpick this thing all to death, but my point is, if I buy or license something, I want to be able to use it the way I want to. If I buy a fully functioning unit that has all of its input and hardware is completely usable the way I bought it out of the box, and then a company says, we came up with some additional uses for it that we would like to license, that's fine. If that's the way you want to play, charge for the firmware updates and that kind of thing. I am not going to necessarily avoid buying a MixPre 3, let's say, or a MixPre Series 3 recorder if I need it at the point in time. Like right now, I'm still rocking my MixPre 6 version 1. If they come out with a version 3 at some point in time that offers additional features and stuff like that, I'll look at it and determine if it's something I want or need to buy. Like I could have bought a standalone recorder for doing my location shoots. An F4 zoom or a F6 would be small in a small form factor, or even another MixPre unit. That way I could do multiple different microphone recordings at the same time. But do I really need it? Or can I just take my MixPre off of the sound, off of my system here and then take it out and record if I need to? Well, I can, but it's a little less convenient. I mean, it's choices, right? But the main point I'm making here is that if it is a fully functioning unit that works out of the box with all features functioning, sure, if you want to license additional software or plugins or whatever for it, you can do that. I don't really have a problem with that, even though I, don't really like the idea of locking it to one channel. You're going to add noise reduction. It's only going to be a mixed channel left. If I want to switch that to mixed channel right because my workflow changes a little bit, I have to relicense it. I don't really like that, but companies will do what companies are going to do. And if I was going to actually license something like that, I probably would not like it one bit and would hesitate and reject every single option I possibly could to unlock that feature for an additional channel if I could help it. But that's me. One of the questions I've received since I started this channel and even in the classes that I teach on the outside world is, why do I keep 2 inches of Velcro at the knuckle end of my boom poles? Well, I'm going to address that in this video. First of all, this is Velcro by brand. This is not hook and loop, some generic. This is the honest to God, really good industrial grade Velcro that you can buy in sheets, and you basically just use the soft side. You don't use the hard side for anything. The soft side is the part that you can easily, it's like a little cushion. It's kind of like the stuff that Ambient uses on the inside of their booms as a self-cleaning mechanism. It's not the hard, scratchy version of it that's going to catch on pretty much anything. It is the soft side. It's the side that you could easily run your hand across. It's not going to hurt anything. And on that note, what if you run your hand across it? Is it going to be louder or quieter than sliding your hand? Well, it's going to be quieter because there's an added little padding, the same way as people that put foam on the outside of your boom pole. But is that why it's there? No, not really. I mean, it was a happy accident as to how that came to be. But if I'm holding the boom, it does give me a natural place I can put my fingers if I want to hold the boom to have it be additionally quiet. It doesn't mean sliding your finger over something like the carbon fiber and then you suddenly go up on here. This adds an extra little bit of a grip before I get to the knuckle. Now, knuckles are quiet enough to grab as it is, but this right here allows me to slide my hand in and I know when the knuckle is going to get there. So if you were the kind of person that slides to the end of it and then you hear a little thump, thump, thump on the handling noise, that may be one option as to why you would opt to not do this, or why you would opt to have something like this on there. But that's not the reason why I originally started doing it. First of all, I use Velcro. I promise I can talk one wrap, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the difference between soft side and hard side, and I'm just demonstrating it myself as I set this thing up. Now, the hard side has grabbed my mouse pad, so the soft side, all I want to, it's not going to stick to anything. But the hard side on the other side of this Velcro is going to completely grab any part of this mouse pad, so it's going to drive me crazy. I should have better prepared for this. But this is Velcro one wrap. Jeez, I promise I can talk. Okay, the reason why I use Velcro one wrap, I am gonna just botch this thing up all over the place, is because I can add a little bit of it around here at the end in the center of this Velcro. And once I have wrapped it once completely all the way around, I can now take my cable and I can stick it up in here. Man, it's so difficult to do while facing camera. But I can actually do this, loop it around, and then pull some tension out of it if I want to. And when I do this, I can now continue to wrap this around. Now, that is the reason why I originally started using this. You can tell I haven't done this in quite a while. Normally, I just have the boom on the actual boom pole itself, bound to the shock mount, usually on the microphone end. But this allows me to carry all of this right here without me worrying about this cable escaping. By me adding a little bit of extra tension to it, I can now carry this around and put it inside of a boom caddy or wherever I want to, and this is not going anywhere. This is the original reason why I started doing it, because it allows me to easily, on a straight cable, mount the cable to the side of the boom pole, and it's going to get it up off the ground. It allows me to actually, this cable that's going all the way up from the bottom, you can then, once you have it in there, you can grab the piece that is, I'm trying to do this again to camera. That's not the right one. That's the right one. This one here, if I pull up, it's going to pull this cable taut. And so if I loosen it, you can see which one is the loose one right there. I can actually grab it right here, pull this out, and now the cable is taut to the boom pole. That's the original reason why I started doing this. The one thing I don't like is having this little bit hanging down. That's when I would actually do it a little bit better, so that way it's going to tighten all the way up. I may do that off camera and then do a little quick edit so that way you can see what I mean. You can connect up the connectors if you really want to, but then you almost want to secure it to the side of the boom pole or what have you. Let me go ahead and do this the way I'd actually do it when I'm not trying to hold it all up and do it with one hand. Now, through the power of editing, we have put this the way I like to normally store these boom poles. And that is with the Velcro one wrap tight to the coil, which is not going anywhere. This cable is now secured pretty tightly to the side of the boom pole, and the connector is now connected to itself, and that way it's not going to hit the side of the knuckle. So this right here is the way I normally like to carry my boom poles with me from point A to point B. The Velcro run wrap is holding the coil very tight, and the connector is being held away from the actual knuckles itself and not going to get damaged one bit by, because basically it's being held right here by this coil very, very tightly. And you may say, what about the tension right here? I've never run into that issue, but then I make my own cables. So right here, you can see I would have to actually physically press to make it knock into itself. The cable here is not going to snap against the side of the boom pole. The whole thing is ready to go. And this little rubber, shielding on my L4E6S Canary Star Quad cable is not going to hurt the side of the boom pole if it ends up hitting it just a little bit. But right now, this boom pole is ready for me to carry someplace. That's the reason why I do it right here, because I love this tightness. It's not going to be hitting anything. The cable management is very, very tight, and it's very easy for me to grab and go with it however I'd like to. So that is the reason why I put Velcro at the end of my boom poles. You may say, why don't you remove it since you don't do this configuration very often anymore? The last time I straight cabled a boom pole on set has been literally years now, and I don't know when that show last was, because honestly, it's probably been 2016 in the summer. No, it would have been 2017 in the winter. Walking Dead season 2. The sound mixer on that show, he had us using a Sound Devices MM1. And that was the last show I did with a straight cable. After that, I didn't, that was the last show I did with him. And then the next mixers I worked with always ended up having either cubes or some type of a transmitter that would be mounted to the microphone end of the boom pole, or the other end if you wanted to put it there. So I stopped straight cabling my boom poles then. And here we are, practically like in 2025 as of the time of this recording. So there you go. That's why I do it. And there you have it. Another episode of the SoundSpeeds podcast in the can. I want to thank everyone who has watched this podcast all the way through the year of 2024, the year we launched it. And we're going to continue this going forward in 2025 and beyond. As long as we are getting questions, if you have questions and you'd like to submit them, please email them to me at alan@soundspeeds.us, and I will address them in an upcoming episode. If not, I'm going to have to come up with questions for myself. And to be completely honest, I've addressed a lot of questions in the podcast that was SoundSpeeds podcast and in the Speed Bumps podcast. And running into things that I can cover in a podcast and answer is not always easy. It's kind of like if I see something in one of the forums and someone's asking or addressing something like that, I could address that maybe in this podcast too and give my thoughts on it. But If you have a question, please submit it, alan@soundspeeds.us, because I would love to have something to actually talk about other than trying to come up with something myself. Answer something that people that watch this channel would find useful. So anyway, let me waste no more time and say thank you again for watching this entire year. Thanks for watching this podcast. And I will see you in 2025 or whenever you happen to watch this video with additional episodes of this podcast. But in the meantime, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for all of everything that y'all have done with regards to giving me your feedback and just basically everything, the interaction with this channel, giving me things to think about. I really do appreciate that. So thanks for a great 2024. I will see you in 2025 with more episodes of the Sound Speeds podcast, and I will bring you, as always, more sound advice. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.